for Monday, December the 23rd. Could I please have the roll call?
Councilmember Abdelgawad.
Here.
Councilmember Barber.
Present.
Councilmember Barrington.
Present.
Councilmember Burke.
Present.
Councilmember Serko.
Present.
Councilmember Holman.
Present.
Councilmember Jacobson.
Present.
Councilmember Townsend.
Present.
Mayor Turnbow.
Present. Would you all please rise and join me in a pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our next item on our agenda is presentations and awards. We do have a presentation tonight from Mr. Lauren Jones, who's the chair of our Arts Commission. Mr. Jones, if you please step forward.
Good evening, members of the council, staff, those in attendance, and those watching live. Basically, guys, I'm just here to spotlight our artist who's got some great artwork here in the chamber. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to make it, but I will present for her. Kathleen Myers is a self-taught photographer and artist from Peculiar. She enjoys taking photos of many things, including animals, bugs, flowers, and old cars. She prints her images on a variety of different material and loves to share her work with others. You can find more of her work on her Facebook page, Oh My Art, O-My Art, and Photography. Guys, Merry Christmas, and we thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. Anybody else have any questions? No? Thank you, Mr. Jones. Your fan club's back there. Dad did good, didn't he, guys? Right on. All right. So we don't have any personal appearances tonight. Staff report, we'll open it up with Mr. Fearborn.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would ask Mr. Krass to make a staff report for the Public Works Department.
Thank you, Mr. Fairborn. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, in addition to my written report, just wanted to update the council that we did issue a land disturbance permit last week for Compass Health, so we anticipate construction starting on that site shortly. And that concludes my staff report.
Thank you. Any questions of staff? Hearing none. Mr. Fearborn?
Thank you, Mr. Krass. I would ask Mr. Mustine to make a staff report for the Parks and Recreation Department.
Thank you, sir. Mayor, members of the council, I too have submitted a written staff report, but I did want to highlight just a couple things that's been going on this month. We wrapped up the Mayor's Coat Drive today and delivered 20 55-gallon bags of coats, scarves, gloves, you name it, to Beacon of Hope Church. It completely filled our special events van, so it was a big haul over there, so we appreciate everybody who donated to that cause. Today we also wrapped up a project in partnership with the Rotary Club over at the Station House, where we partnered together and built a boardwalk on the outside of the building. So if you drive by TV Hannah Station, you'll see that. Had some great work. Had a little mishap with the mayor here, but I'll let you tell your partners.
I've already confessed. Thank you.
So it's a great project. It looks fantastic. We are submitting our application for Tree City USA. Again, this will be year number 7, and there should be no reason why they would deny us, since we have spent more, provided more, planted more trees, done more hours, so everything is bigger and better this year than any other application. And that concludes my staff report.
Thank you. Any questions of staff? Thank you, Nathan.
Thank you.
Mr. Fearborn?
Thank you, Mr. Mustine. I would ask Ms. Harmer to make a staff report for the Communications Department.
Thank you, sir. Mayor, members of the council. I just have a couple things tonight also. I wanted to give an update. Is it okay if I update about Paws and Ponies? Absolutely. Okay. I was at Paws and Ponies. It was a benefit for the Raymore Animal Shelter this Saturday with our animal control officers. It was a really great event with horse rides. The owners of Big Daddy's Donuts were Santa and Mrs. Claus, and they were there the whole time too. And we were able to raise a little over $1,500 for the Raymore Animal Shelter. So it was a really great event. And also just want to let you know that the winter-spring edition of the review and the Parks and Rec program guide will be in Raymore mailboxes sometime in the first couple weeks of January. And We do have our constable sanitation customer feedback survey directions in that in the review, so that our residents will be able to take that survey. That's about all I have.
Thank you, Melissa. Any questions? Yes, Mr. Berenson.
Oh, thank you. Very, very good presentation. I just had a quick question. I know that the animal shelter does take donations year-round in lieu of like food and other things. Is there anything specifically they need right now if anybody wants to donate to them?
We actually do have a wish list up on their Facebook page that has a lot of cleaning supplies, and then kitten food and cat food is always on the top of that list. So that's actually linked to our at raymore.com/animal control. We also link to the Amazon wish list we have that usually is Jamie keeps it pretty updated with the main things that we need to. So you can find it either on the website or on Facebook.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you. Mr. Fearborn.
Thank you, Ms. Harmer. Reminder to the council that next week is the 5th Monday, so there'll be no council work session. The council will notice that in the unfinished business, the first 3 items of unfinished business on your agenda this evening are bills 3499, 3501, and 3502. These bills actually had their first readings in front of the council on November 25th, but were not put on the agenda for second read at the council's last meeting on December 9th. The reason for this is that following that first read, there were some final details completely unrelated to the incentive requests that were associated with it, some wording details relative to the Van Trust property that it involved 2 areas. One was concerning the timing of build out for Van Trust, and the other one was concerned with insurance and assurances to the city on those build outs from Van Trust. So we tweaked some of the wording that was in their particular bill. And then with Mr. Lovelace's property, we'd asked Mr. Lovelace to return to the council new elevations and indicated to him that until we had the new elevations in hand, and he was in agreement with that, for the council's review, that the second read of that particular bill would not come before you all. Those elevations have been provided. They are in front of the council this evening at the dais in color version, and I know you also sent a digitized version to all of you as well. So both of those items are now on for second read. The Van Trust property in particular, because they were asking for incentive, and even though the incentive did not change, but the wording within it had changed, within the bill itself had changed, and the development agreement, we felt like we needed the time. The delay on that one was to have the time to go back to the other taxing jurisdictions to make sure that they were okay with the changes in wording. They had absolutely no problem with them whatsoever, especially since they weren't related to the incentive anyway. So we have had that meeting with them, and both of these items, all 3 of these bills, are now before the council for unfinished business this evening. That concludes staff reports this evening, sir.
Thank you. Any questions of staff with regard to that? Yes, Mr. Townsend.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to clarify, with regard to these bills coming back before us, if the wording of the bill changed, and this is the second read, how does that impact the vote on the first read? Is there
The motion would be to vote to approve, if it was for approval on dispose, to approve the amended to approve the bill with the amended wording in the development agreement.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Anything else?
That concludes staff reports.
Okay, thank you. We have no committee reports this evening, so we'll move on to the consent agenda. We have 3 items on the consent agenda this evening. I'd entertain a motion to dispose of the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Ullman.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented to include item A, City Council minutes from the December 9th, 2019 meeting of the City Council. Item B, TB Hanna Station House Renovation Project, acceptance and final payment. And item C, 155th Street Reconstruction Project, acceptance and final payment.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I will second.
Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda and all 3 items on that consent agenda. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 8-0. We'll now move on to unfinished business. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3499 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3499 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, amending the zoning map from BP Business Park District to PUD Planned Unit Development District, a 136.38-acre tract of land located south of North Cass Parkway, east of Interstate 49 in Raymore, Cass County, Missouri.
Thank you. Before we move on for entertainment of a motion, I would ask Mr. Fearborn, this is the items that you talked about within the staff report. Actually, the next three items, do all three require the verbiage to accept the motion as amended?
Actually, sir, only the one where the development agreement changed. Mr. Lovelace, the development agreement did not change. The wording is all the same. And the first item, the item before you now, is just the reclassification of the zoning. So only item B needs the amended language verbiage in the motion.
Thank you for that
Thank you, sir.
clarification. I appreciate that. So I would entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Holman.
I move that we approve Bill 3499, reclassification of zoning, Raymore Industrial Development.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I will second.
Thank you. The motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3499. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 8-0. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3501 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3501 by title only, an ordinance approving a plan and a development and performance agreement for an industrial development project for Van Trust Real Estate LLC.
Thank you. I would entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Holman.
I will make a motion on this item. I'm going to start with the caveat that I'm going to be looking at Mr. Fearborn and Mr. Zur for proper phrasing on this. I would move at this time that we approve Bill 3501 with the amended agreement as provided.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I will second.
Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded. Is that an appropriate motion, Mr. Zur? Sound good?
I'm good with that motion.
Okay, great. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 8-0. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3502 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3502 by title only, an ordinance approving a plan for an industrial development project and authorizing the City of Raymore, Missouri to issue taxable industrial development revenue bonds in a principal amount not to exceed $26,500,000 and to enter into certain documents with connection therewith.
Trying to catch my place up here, sorry. Okay, thank you. I would entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Holman.
I move that we approve Bill 3502, the venue of the Good Ranch Chapter 100 bonds.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I will second.
Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading Bill 3502. Any further discussion? Yes, Mr. Townsend.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to comment on, appreciate staff and Mr. Lovelace working to get us some updated, working to create updated elevations. I'm sure the residents who are watching or who have also seen the electronic versions that are posted online to see these elevations in comparison to the previous are more befitting of the area and the community that they're going in. So I appreciate that. I just wanted to voice that this evening.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. I appreciate you pointing that out. Yes, Mr. Burke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is just a question, not necessarily for or against the bill, but on the elevations, how do those compare to the road front there on the west side? I mean, would this, the elevation, I noticed that the whole thing goes sloping down, and this first row of homes closest to the road, how would their rooftops compared with the road surface?
With the road height?
Uh-huh.
Mr. Cataret?
The elevations that were included in your packet were intended for, you can obviously the garage units, the units that face inward into the site. My understanding is that the elevation minus the garage frontage would be the elevation you would see on the units that face Dean Avenue and face North Cass Parkway. So they will be at a little bit lower elevation just due to the overall topography, but the overall appearance of the elevation would be the same minus the garage unit.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Holman.
Thank you, sir. I had a minor question for either Mr. Carteret or Mr. Lovelace. The elevations provided to us show multiple options for this. And I like all of them. They're all fine. I'm just curious, how does the developer and staff agree on the final elevation of this look, and what's the process for that?
I'll start the discussion. If Mr. Lovelace wants to comment on, that would be fine. If I say something out of place, the idea is to alternate the elevation so you don't have the same one beside the same unit. So you have some fluctuation, not only in color scheme, but also in materials, brick or stone materials. There's not really a set process in place where staff would necessarily review the elevations for each building, but the intent is that the applicant would want to have that diversity throughout the entire development.
So the ones provided, we might see one of these on one building and one on another. They're very similar. Is that a fair
Exactly.
statement?
Yeah, there were a number, I believe, 4 or 5 different
Yes, sir.
elevations that could be utilized.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously 8-0. Thank you. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3507 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3507 by title only, an ordinance approving a settlement agreement between Fred and Susan Ashbaugh, trustees of the Fred and Susan Ashbaugh Revocable Living Trust dated August 22nd, 1996, and the City of Raymore, and also authorizing the execution of a bill of sale and temporary access and construction easement pursuant to the terms of said settlement agreement.
Thank you. I would entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Holman.
I move that we approve Bill 3507, approval of a settlement agreement, temporary access and construction easement.
Thank you. Is there a second?
And I will second.
Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3507. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 8-0. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3516 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3516 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, authorizing the mayor and city manager to enter into a cooperative agreement with Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission for the purpose of making sidewalk improvements to Fox Ridge Drive.
Thank you. I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Holman.
I move that we approve Bill 3516, award of contract MoDOT Transportation Alternatives Fund.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I will second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve Bill 3516. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 8-0. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3512 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3512 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, approving the Westgate plat lots 1 through 4, located in the southwest quarter of Section 8, Township 46 North, Range 32 West, Raymore, Cass County, Missouri.
Thank you. I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Holman.
I move that we approve Bill 3512, Westgate Final Plat.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I will second.
The motion has been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3512. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 8-0. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3513 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3513 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, adopting and enacting a revised Chapter 500 Building Regulations of the Raymore City Code.
Thank you. I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Holman.
I move that we approve Bill 3513, adoption of the 2018 International Building Codes.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I will second.
Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3513. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 8-0. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3514 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3514 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, amending the Community Assistance Program Agreement with the Missouri Department of Conservation for Johnston Lake.
Thank you. I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Holman.
I move that we approve Bill 3514, Community Assistance Program Amendment, Johnston Lake.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I will second.
The motion has been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3514. Any further discussion? Yes, Mr. Burke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Excuse me. This is probably a question for maybe Mr. Cataret. I'm not sure. In the agreement, it talked about the entire time a concrete fishing jetty. What did we do that supplanted that still made the agreement work out? I don't recall any concrete fishing jetty there.
There is, sir.
Is there?
Yes.
Where is it?
Due north and on the lake next to the amphitheater.
Huh. Okay. Thanks.
Good. Anyone else? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 8-0. Okay, please have the second reading of Bill 3515 by title only.
The second reading of Bill 3515 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri to enter into a community assistance program agreement with the Missouri Department of Conservation for Recreation Park Pond.
Thank you. I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Holman.
I move that we approve Bill 3515, Community Assistance Program, Recreation Park Pond.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I will second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3515. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 8-0. Thank you. Can I please have the second reading of Bill 3504 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3504 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri authorizing the mayor to execute an extended and amended employment agreement with Jim Fuhrborn for service as the city manager.
Oh, I'm not supposed to pause here, am I? Just giving him a hard time over there. I would entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Holman.
I move that we approve Bill 3504, approval of amended and restated employment agreement, city manager.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I will second.
Thank you. The motion has been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3504. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 8-0. Thank you. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3505 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3505 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri appointing Kapke and Willerth LLC as the city attorney and authorizing the execution of a contract for services.
Thank you. I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Holman.
I move that we approve Bill 3505, award of contract, city attorney.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I will second.
Thank you. The motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3505. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 8-0. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3506 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3506 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri appointing William N. Marshall III as the city prosecutor and authorizing the execution of a contract for services.
Thank you. I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Holman.
I move that we approve Bill 3506, award of contract, city prosecutor.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I will second.
Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3506. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 8-0. Okay, things will slow down a little bit here. We now move into new business, and I would I would ask for the first reading of Bill 3511 by title only.
The first reading of Bill 3511 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri calling for and establishing the date of the general municipal election to be held on April 7th, 2020.
Thank you. Is there a staff report?
Thank you, sir. I would ask Ms. Hill to make the staff report on this particular item.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, Mayor, Council. The Raymore City Charter, Section 9.1, states that the regular municipal election shall be held on the first Tuesday after the first Monday in April, or such day as may be mandated by state law. This bill calls for the next municipal election to be held on April 7th, 2020. Positions for city council seats from each ward for a 2-year term are open. Candidate filing began December 17th, 2019, and ends January 21, 2020. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions of staff? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Holman.
I move that we approve Bill 3511, calling for the April 7th, 2020 regular municipal election.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I will second.
Thank you. Motion been made and seconded to approve the first reading of Bill 3511. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 8-0. Could I please have the first reading of Bill 3517 by title only?
The first reading of Bill 3517 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, approving the Fox Ridge Business Park final plat located in the northeast quarter of Section 17, Township 46 North, Range 32 West, Raymore, Cass County, Missouri.
Thank you. Is there a staff report?
Thank you, sir. I would ask Mr. Cataret to make a staff report on this agenda item.
Thank you, sir. Hy-Vee Incorporated filed a request for a final plat approval for Fox Ridge Business Park. This is a one-lot commercial subdivision proposed for the southwest quarter of Foxwood Drive and Fox Ridge Drive. Hy-Vee intends to construct a 6,500 square foot fast and fresh market on the lot. It will include fuel pumps as well as a drive-through window for the facility. The development agreement that's included in your packet does outline the requirements tied to the development of this lot, which includes installation of right turn lanes along Foxwood Drive and Fox Ridge Drive, the extension of a sanitary sewer from the Lofts apartment development to serve the site, as well as construction of 2 new public roadways that would be to the west and to the south of the development itself. This one lot of the business park is, if you recall, there was a preliminary plat over the entire commercial acreage there that the Dean family owns. This is just the first lot of a much larger development that will occur over time. The Planning and Zoning Commission on December 17 did vote 8-0 to accept the staff proposed findings of fact and forward this final plat to the council with the recommendation of approval. It was subject to one condition, that there be easement documents provided for the off-site utility work that will occur. So we need easements from the Dean family as part of this development to provide the area for the sanitary sewer line and some off-site storm sewer work to be done. And that's been agreed upon, so it's just a formality, but we wanted that as a condition of the approval of the final plat. So that will conclude staff report.
Thank you, Jim. Any questions? Mr. Holman?
Yes, sir, I have 2. So given the information that you stated, basically it was approved by Planning and Zoning, but needing the easements, does this, assuming this goes forward, a motion's made, does this need to be amended in any way by us? Is the first question. To include the easement, or is that part of the?
As long as, if the council, the way the bill is worded, accepts the recommendation of the commission, which does include that condition.
Okay. And then my second question is more refreshing my memory. A site that requires or intends to put in fuel pumps would require a conditional use permit, and that's later on in the process. Is that correct, sir?
That actually was taken care of earlier in the summertime. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Holman?
I move that we approve Bill 3517, Fox Ridge Business Park final plat, with recommendations from staff and as amended by Planning and Zoning.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I will second.
The motion's been made and seconded to approve the first reading of Bill 3517. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 8-0. That concludes new business. We'll now move into public comments. If anyone from the public would like to address the council at this time, please step forward, state your name and address for the record. Try to keep your comments to 5 minutes or less. Seeing none, we will move on to the mayor-council communication, and I'll start with you tonight, Mr. Holman.
Thank you, sir. Just a comment, an observation. We're a couple days from Christmas. We're just a week away from the new calendar year, although we've started well into our fiscal year here with the city. This has been another good year for the city of Raymore. Notice I did not say perfect, because there are no such things. There are always complaints, there are always concerns, but how fast does a high-performing organization take care of those concerns and turn those into positives? And how many times did we do that throughout this year when those things reached terrible crisis, according to social media? And yet we're in a stronger position on almost each one of those after the fact when they thought the world was falling apart. This is still a great place to live. It is an incredibly safe city with 100% satisfaction with our police department, where the police department arrives on scene on average in less than 3 minutes, where we have some of the greatest public works people out there working on our behalf every day. We have a major snowstorm event of 9 inches, and they outdo all their peers in the arena. We have fantastic planning from the Community Development Department, where we don't have to sit and wait to be able to turn left out onto the highway. Not to mention the great works of communications, Parks and Rec, and it goes on and on. Again, I would say to you, sir, this has been another good year for the city of Raymore, and it gets better every day, and I, for one, am proud to live here in this city. That's all I have, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I totally agree with everything you just said, Jay. Mr. Barber.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to start off by thanking your Rotary Club for their work out at TB Hanai. When Nathan gave me the walkthrough, I saw that you guys were doing that kind of that area for parents to sit there and watch the kids in the splash park and do relax. I think it's a credit to our staff and your club that they can put something together and work together. So thank you and your group for doing it. You got a good organization. I also going to kind of piggyback on my colleague, Mr. Holman. I want to thank this group up here for a very, I think, positive and productive year. We got a lot of work done. We got a lot of things going. We couldn't have done it without staff, obviously. But saying that, I am glad that Mr. Fairborn is giving us December 30th off. I know that's very difficult for him to do, and I'm sure there's some things that we could be doing, but it is nice to have a break every once in a while. So thank you, Mr. Fairborn, for that. And that's really all. Well, I was going to just say I hope everybody has a great holiday. Merry Christmas to everybody, and make some memories. Thank you.
Amen. Ms. Abdelgawad. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll just keep it short. I agree with what my fellow council members have said, and I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Thank you. Mr. Berenson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll probably echo what Councilman Abdelgawad said here. I agree with everything that my colleagues to the right of me have said tonight, and thank them for their comments. I'll add only one thing is I can't believe that Christmas is only 2 days away. It seems like every year it creeps up. It gets faster and faster and faster. So Merry Christmas, everybody, and look forward to another great year next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Townsend.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also want to echo the comments of my colleagues to the right and looking forward for the comments of my colleagues to my left. But thank you to everyone in staff and all the things you do throughout the year. Excellent, again, excellent year with respect to all things that have occurred. I wish everyone a Merry Christmas. Remember those who have lost loved ones maybe their first season without their loved ones, so say a special prayer for them, as well as those who are forward deployed, who are not with their family. I'll remember them on this holiday season as well, so thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Jacobson.
You know, you started down at that end last time, and I had nothing to say by the time you got here. I'm going to say the same thing again. I'm going to echo everything everybody has said. I'm coming up on 7 or 8 months, depending on how you want to look at my tenure on this board, and it's been a really amazing time. Not only the cooperation and the collaboration of my fellow council members, but the incredible work by staff. I know you guys put in a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of work, and it is just amazing. You know, we can only accomplish the things up here based on what you guys have accomplished down there. So I want to wish everyone on staff, especially, a happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas. Have a happy Thanksgiving too. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and thanks for all your work. And one of the things I've really enjoyed, based on what Councilman Holman said earlier about what we've accomplished this year, is it bleeds into the next year. Now we start with next year. We're out that much further ahead. And that's really a good feeling. You just get the feeling that there's a lot of great stuff getting ready to happen. A lot of great stuff has happened, of course, but even better stuff ahead. So just once again, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody.
Thank you very much. Mr. Burke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've got a couple things. One, some are positive and some are sad. Positive, my son turned 18 yesterday. William joined the National Guard, Missouri National Guard, 2 weeks ago, Wednesday, and I'm very proud of him. I think he's going to take a little different path on his way to get to Warrensburg and work on his aviation degree, and probably that path will make him more successful than the path that I took, just because he's 18. And I wanted to remember a friend, a colleague that I lost, our community lost last week at the high school, before school. A friend of mine and a colleague that I've worked with the last 8 years, she passed away before school last week, and went to her funeral today. Deborah, oh my gosh, Hale, sorry. She spent 40 years in Cass County teaching the kids of Cass County, 22 in Sherwood and 18 in Ray-Pac, and she was a teacher, a counselor, and she worked with at-risk children. Many of them that I share with her, or did share with her, will continue to work with. And she will be missed. She's done a lot of things for the people in the community, and wanted to give my family, or give her family, condolences for the holidays, and wish happy holiday to everyone here as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Circo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I want to chime in on the rest of the council up here. And Mr. Holman, we had a great year with the city staff. We worked out a lot of great situations here with development and growing forward for the city into 2020. I just want to say I had an opportunity Friday night to do a ride-along that it took me a long time to do, and Mr. Officer Williams and I finally got together on Friday night, and sad I waited so long because it was very, very good. It was an exciting night, and I learned things about the police officers that you just don't know about them. You know, how precise they are and how their precision of their skills are. When they're driving, we're driving up down the street, these guys knows tags, they knows cars, they remember cars, they remember tags. When you go 4 blocks down, you come back and see the same car. They know everything. I mean, I'm just so impressed with their training and their skills. And we drove up all night till about 4 in the morning. I hung out with him, and it was really fun. I think everybody should do it. If you haven't done a ride along, it's something you should do. And you really get a really deep insight of how the operations work downstairs with our dispatchers. I think Lieutenant Adelwell was on staff. He was running the show that night and come and go in here, and it was great, fantastic. I'm going to do it again. But everyone should, because there are things I would have never thought about that our police department, our police officers do, and how good they really are. And how, I mean, they are on top of things their whole shift, and it's very impressive. So I just want to say it's a great time. Everybody should do that. Again, I hope everyone want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. Staff and everyone have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And as we say in my family, Buon Natale. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Tom. Oh, and I also want to thank everybody for their donations to the Mayor's Coat Drive. It was a very successful year. As Nate pointed out earlier, I had filled up the Parks and Rec van with numerous bags. There was, I think they didn't have a final count on it because there were so many, but it was a banner year. Over 200 coats were collected and donated, and I want to thank everybody that donated to that cause. And I was going to talk about the 800-pound gorilla in the room with regard to the canine, but you know what? We've all kind of come to the terms with that. It is a personnel matter, and so we're going to leave it at that and not discuss it any further than that. I only wish that the community was armed with the same information that we on the dais have afforded to us, but because it's a personnel matter, it's a sensitive issue, we cannot necessarily share that, and I'm certain it would change perspectives of some, maybe not, but I do know that this community, and as Mr. Holman said, this body up here and the staff that works for this body, does a fantastic job year-round in ensuring that the citizens of Raymore get everything that their tax dollars pay for. And it is an honor for me to sit at the dais as your mayor, and it's an honor to work with these people up here and the staff. And I couldn't have said it any better than Mr. Holman, that there are some great things that occur year-round here. It's a shame that we're ending the year with a bit of a bitter taste in our mouth, and I apologize for that. We would have not wanted this to take away from all the great things that have happened in the past year, because they certainly have, and I am extremely proud of the work that we have done up here and what the staff has done. And so with that, my wife and I want to wish everybody a happy holiday and a Merry Christmas, and we'll close for now. We have no need to go into executive session, so we'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Amen, in deference to Councilmember Townsend, hoorah, sir. And
Is there a second?
Yeah. At this time, I would move that we adjourn this session of the Raymore City Council.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
I will second.
All those in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you.